I shouldn't be surprised that you guys picked this case. This is literally one of the most popular cases out on the market right now. Needless to say, I wasn't surprised when I saw 75% of the vote went to this case, edging out the Fantex case that I was also debating. So today, we're gonna actually unbox and build an air-cooled system inside the Corsair 5000D Airflow. Hello, and welcome. My name is Wolfie, and you are watching GreaterThanPie. So the 5000D Airflow, it is the bigger, slightly better version of the 4000D and the smaller version of the 7000D. Go figure. That being said, the 5000D actually has a lot of variants and variations in it. This version is the Airflow version, and it is the black model. There's the 5000D, the 5000D Airflow, the 5000X, the 5000T, and all of them actually range in increasing prices. The 5000X has an RGB variant, which is called the 5000X IQ edition, and the 5000T, which is the most expensive case I've ever considered, comes in at a whopping $400. Fortunately, this case can be had for around $150 to $160, depending on sales. I actually picked up this one for $150. That being said, this is the first Corsair case we will be featuring on this channel. I have built-in Corsair cases before though, so I kind of have high expectations. And they really don't disappoint early on with how the box looks. This definitely looks like a case that is trying to be sold at a computer store. You turn it around to its side, you can see that it's got a full diorama of the actual inside of the case. On the back side, we actually have a blown out diagram of how everything comes apart. All of the various bits of tooling and pieces that come with this case. This case has an impressive number of configurations that you can use it in. And then specs in just about every language. And that is because Corsair does actually sell in both Best Buy and in Micro Centers. All right, that's enough kind of talking about everything outside the box. Let's get into it. I will say this box came in immaculate condition. For once, I'm not looking at a PC case box thinking, oh God, this poor case. Immediately we're greeted by nice, thick, compressible foam. Love that. The handles actually line up with the foam in a really nice way too, where when I lifted the box out of like up and onto the table, I was like, oh, this isn't gonna fall apart very easily. That is the front of the case. Right, so this is the front. So this is the bottom right here. Let's start over. On here, all right, on the bottom we have our instruction booklet. And you also see we also have a nice dust filter right there. And oh, I like this. There's some labeling on the bottom. Oh, how am I one of the only people who's actually noticing this? It's got a drain port. It's gonna be pretty hard to see this, but like right here, that cross pattern is so that you can drill into it and put a drain port right here. And that would allow you to actually drain a liquid cooling loop at the actual bottom of the case. It's actually a really good feature that I don't think anybody else has talked about. An all black obelisk. This case is beautiful. Like the tooling of this case. This is impressive. Like, pictures do not do this thing justice. That gap right there is just, it's amazing. There's so much dimensionality to this whole thing. Let's go ahead and start with our top here. We've got our nice ventilated panel. We also have another mesh panel underneath here. You know what? Let's actually start getting in here. How do you get into this? You just pop it off? Oh, it came off easy actually. So right under here, you can see that there is a mesh filter, but due to how I'm guessing it connects, is probably magnetic. They taped it down, and then that's actually a sturdy little filter. But due to how open this case would be without this, I'm actually gonna leave this installed, even if I put something up here, because without it, like that would be like completely open. Normally, I would remove top exhaust filters, but not in this case. So Corsair actually did some logoing work right here, which is actually really good. And then also on the inside at the filter, like the attention to detail is actually really good with this case. We've got captive thumb screws. Yeah. That being said, the metal frame around this case is pretty good. We've got a peel on both the inside and the outside. We'll leave that until after the build is done. Actually start to kind of look at the inside of the case. We can see that we got this nice, beautiful like cable management bar right here. Our 2 included Corsair fans. A lot of ventilation and spacing for everything. Lots of tooling as well. This is the default power supply shroud that is currently installed. It's actually set up with room for some radiators. And then if you want to, you can remove this, and then there's another shroud that you can put in that has a scoop on it that you can use to give even more radiator and water cooling space. As you can see right here, it will fit up to some EATX. You may have to remove this cable management bar if you want to do certain larger EATXs, but they will fit into this case, even if they are SSID. Again, there is a lot of consistency in the patterning and the work on here. Everything's a very nice triangulated pattern. And if consistency serves, this will also come off easily. There does appear to be a way to screw down. I'm not entirely sure about that. But these panels, these mesh panels, or not even really mesh, they're just decorative holes. They look really, really nice. And they feel really nice too. They feel very structurally sound. Oh, I'm now just getting a look at this. I'll get some of it in the B-roll. Up top, we've got a power button, 2 USB 2.0, 3.0, USB 3, USB-C, headphone and headset combo jack. And this looks like a reset, but it probably also does RGB if you wanted to. What's really cool about up here is they actually color match to the Corsair yellow, which normally I'm not a huge fan of yellow, but I do really like the yellow accent in here. Maybe when we do the finalized build, I'll actually add some yellow into it to tie everything all together. More captive screws. Oh, hello. So right over here, we can see that open panel, which is also just kind of like, looks like it's just friction mounted in. Yeah, it's just friction mounted in. Not bad. Oh no, there's actually magnets as well. So it's magnets, and then there's also notches to hold it in place. This was also taped down in order to prevent it from moving around. And now we reveal the secret of the case. Yes, this thing's got so much room for cable management. It makes sense though, because Corsair makes power supplies with some chunky cables. There's actually these nice cable channels too. Really like that. There's definitely room in the basement for some adjustments. Oh, and here's our additional shroud. A little plastic shroud that can be used to adjust the front configuration. We're actually going to leave it with the shroud mostly attached in its normal state for this first build, because we're going to be doing an air-cooled build. And we're back. And that build was really easy. This case has a lot of features that actually make it really easy to work in. It's rather large, it's easy to get your motherboard in as it has a little tiny motherboard nubbin that you can use to hold your motherboard in place while you screw it in, even from a standing position. It's got removable brackets for the fans in the front and more than enough space to put fans on the top. It has really easy cable management, and the securing method on the PCIe's are actually very standard and really simple to use. Installing hard drives and SSDs was also a breeze. There were a couple of small hiccups. For one, the hard drive cage is actually installed a little bit too far forward. In my particular unit, unfortunately, that meant that I actually had to take pliers to the thumb nut in the back of the hard drive cage because it was torqued down too hard for me to actually remove it any other way. And I did have to move it up to its forwardmost position. Fortunately, I plan on using this case with only fans in the front, but if you were going to be using a radiator, that might be something that you should take into consideration. Furthermore, when it comes to custom liquid cooling, this case has a lot of features. In addition to being able to fit a 360 in both the front and the top, and I believe it can do those simultaneously, it can also fit a 360 into its side section as a different option as opposed to the front and top if you are using the glass or solid front versions of this case. This is a feature that Lee actually really pushed forward with the O11 Dynamic, and it's great to see it here. Furthermore, because it is a standard 360mm mount, you can actually install things like distro plates that are actually set up in the 360mm formats. Corsair actually made one after this case came out, presumably so that you could install it into your custom loop. Now, I will say the case is currently not in its stock configuration after we did remove the brackets, which took a little bit to do, but additionally, we had to add fans. When we originally did this build, I threw a 6700 XT into it. Recently, I received a 6800 XT, and oh my goodness, it turned that thing into a oven. Yes, this case, unfortunately, with its 2 fans, was not enough to quell the beast that is a 6800 XT. Specifically, the variant I have, which has 3 power connectors, comes out of the box overclocked to the max. It literally has no room for overclocking. I tried, it won't go any further. Additionally, that GPU is, well, let's just say I was scared that the tempered glass side panel might actually shatter from the continual heat from this GPU. It also got so hot that the chipset fan, which on my motherboard is set to be semi-passive, got hot enough to rev up and make enough noise that I thought something was seriously wrong. Which then brings me to my next point, which is the post-build adjustments. And I have to say, this case is phenomenal. You can easily add more fans. I did. I actually added 3 120mm fans to the front of the case and then an additional 2 140mm fans to the top of the case, all without removing hardware. I plugged the whole thing in and cable managed everything without ever once touching the GPU, the CPU cooler, the fans that are already installed. Well, I had to remove one of the fans, but point is, I didn't have to adjust anything that I wasn't directly touching, which is great because not all cases have that luxury. I also ended up having to add a GPU support bracket to this case because the GPU, again, is just, it's a hot box, it's heavy, and it's very powerful. I love it. We're gonna be talking about it soon on this channel, but I needed to add a GPU support bracket, so I was happy to find that there were plenty of places for me to actually secure one into the case. That being said, the one thing that I think Corsair could add to this case line that would actually put it in like the perfect territory would be a built-in GPU support system. This is something that Cooler Master and Fractal Design have started adding into their cases and actually goes a long way, especially with components like the 6800 XT that I've got installed being so heavy. Overall, I really do love this case, and I am excited for the additional builds that are going to go into this case. The only decision I need to make is whether or not I'm going to incorporate a little bit of that Corsair yellow into my custom cables for it, but that is where we are going to end it. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, you can consider giving it a like, commenting, and subscribing. I got a video about that 6800 XT coming up, and we also have a video about GPU sag itself coming up. So if you are not subscribed, get subscribed, and I will see you in the next video. Wolfie, out.